Powfu here, and I'm talking with Haley about my new EP that just came out.
All right, Powfu, thank you so much for chatting with me today. I'm so excited to talk to you. I know you just dropped a new EP. I definitely want to chat about that. But before we get into that, I want to ask you, because you recently shared a new video covering Taylor Swift's Mine. That is so
Mhm.
interesting to me. Let's chat about that for a second. What drew
Yeah.
you to that song? What made you want to cover it?
Uh, well, I was jamming to Taylor Swift in my car with my wife. And yeah, I always like growing up, I listened to her like country albums a lot. So I always like go back and replay it, you know. And yeah, mine came on and I was listening to it. I was like, wow, this kind of sounds like punk melodies and stuff, and I could hear the drums over it. So then I was like, I might as well try it. So yeah.
That's awesome. I love that. Are you a big Taylor Swift fan? Do you consider yourself a Swiftie then?
Um, I don't know. Maybe not anymore, but when I was younger, I listened to her a lot. Yeah, I don't listen to her as much anymore, but yeah, she's awesome.
That's awesome. Let's take it back a little bit. I know you garnered a lot of recognition and you had a lot of success from your song Deathbed. And I know
Mhm.
it's huge on TikTok. It's hard for me to scroll through and not hear that melody of
Yeah.
coffee for your head. I love it. But how do you think your sound has evolved and how do you think it's progressed from that on this new EP?
Um, I feel like just every song I release is like and every day that goes by, it's like every day I'm working on music, so I feel like just naturally I'm just getting better at it, you know, with melodies and lyrics and stuff. And yeah, so it's like I feel like every song I release since Deathbed, it slowly improves and gets better. But in terms of like style, like I still try to keep the lo-fi, like I still record in my bedroom and everything, you know. So it yeah, it still has similar vibes, but I'd say it's just a little bit better, I guess.
I like that you mentioned your style because you do have a very unique sound and style. You mentioned lo-fi, but I mean, there's some hip hop rap in there. There's pop. It's kind of alt. You have kind of a
Mhm.
hodgepodge of sounds
Yeah.
within your style. What inspires that? How did you kind of cultivate that? What's your background with that?
Well, growing up, my dad was in a pop punk band, so like
Oh,
I,
wow.
yeah, I would always listen to punk music and stuff. And then in high school, I started listening to hip hop music. And then there's like a little bit of country tied in, but I feel like pop or like punk music and hip hop are kind of like my favorite genres, and I kind of just play around within those barricades, I guess. And yeah, that's how I get all the weird stuff, you know.
That brings me to my next question. Being a hodgepodge of different sounds and styles and
Mhm.
appreciating different music, I want to know what you listen to. Like, what are you listening to? What's on your playlist right now?
That's a good question. I don't know. I don't really listen to much music lately. Like when I started Powfu, like I was listening to SoundCloud every day and stuff, like because I was working part-time jobs as well. So like I was just listening to music all day. But now it's like I feel like I'm always working or hanging out with people or just doing things. So it's like I don't have I don't have much time. The only time I listen to music is like in the car, and it's usually just like CDs that I have. Um, yeah, I got like a Blink-182 CD that I probably listen to that the most, I'd say.
I like that. That's interesting that,
Yeah.
you don't really listen to music, but I kind of like that because I feel like you're a blank slate. Your style just
Yeah.
kind of comes to you. You're not influenced by anything directly. So I like that. All right, let's talk about the EP. Do you have a favorite track that you're releasing?
Um, there's one on the EP called Butterfly Rumors, which I think is probably like my personal favorite. I don't know, it's like I like the melodies a lot and I like the beat a lot and it kind of just like it sounds the nicest to me, I'd say. Um, yeah, I'll probably go with that one.
I like that. What do you
Mhm.
hope for when your fans listen to this project?
That at least they like one of the songs. Um, yeah, I mean, I just hope people like it. I don't know, there's not really much more I could wish for, you know. It's yeah, I just make music that I enjoy making and listening to, so I hope other people feel the same.
I love that. I know you
Mhm.
mentioned, I was going to bring this up because I am a creep. I did some creeping on you and I saw that you
Mhm.
do have a wife and you mentioned your wife. And I think that is so rare to kind of see in the music industry that
Mhm.
one, that these male performers are married, but that they're touting it and they're in these committed relationships. And I love to see that. How do you think having that person in your corner impacts what you're doing in your craft?
Well, first of all, I always go to her for feedback. Like she's kind of like the first person I go to, like when I make a new song or I'm like struggling with like a lyric idea or something. Like I feel like she's just like pretty wise on that side. So like she'll give me feedback for a lot of my music, which um yeah, which is cool. And then also just like yeah, being in a relationship, I feel like you learn a lot of things. So there's a lot more struggles and happy things that like are in my life now. So new things to write about, you know.
I love that. I love to hear it. Um, let's talk about the project a little bit more. I'd say, what was your creative inspiration when making this? Like, was it very relaxed? Did you just go in kind of making what you want, or did you have a plan? What does your process look like when you're going in to make new music?
Um, yeah, it's usually just in my bedroom. I'm usually just by myself and like I sit down and I work on whatever I'm feeling like that day, you know? And it's not like I don't usually sit down and like work on a song and then finish it. It's usually like I'm bouncing between like multiple projects, you know? So yeah, so this EP that's coming that just came out, it's basically like a bunch of music that I've just been working on for the past year. And those are the songs that I got like finished and it's kind of that's why it's all over the place as well, you know? Which I kind of like though. Like most people I'd say release an album where like all the songs sound somewhat similar, you know?
Yeah.
But for me, it's like I try to make them all sound different from each other.
I love that. I love to hear it. I promised I wouldn't take too much of your time. I keep this
Mhm.
short and sweet, but you've given me so much information and I appreciate that. I have one last question for you. How did you come up with the name Powfu?
Yeah, I was in grade 12 and
Oh,
I didn't want to use my real name because I was like embarrassed that people would look it up and then like hear my
yeah.
music. Yeah, so I was like, I really wanted to avoid that, and I didn't know what to call myself, so I just started like mixing random sounds together and stuff, and I mixed like pow and foo. And I was like, oh, that sounds kind of cool, and I looked it up, and it was like a little Russian scooter brand, and I was like, oh, they're not that big, so I was like, I'll just go with this, and then yeah, that's about it.
I love that. That's so unique. I love how chill you are and just, you're doing your music because I can tell you genuinely love it and you love the music that you make. And I love to see that in the industry. Thank you so much for meeting with me. I appreciate it.
No worries. Thank you for having me.